if you want to go back to the sacking of Julian Nagelsmann, for example, things were never this bad under him. And I think that is something that it was a decision that was more of a personal one against the personality of Julian Nagelsmann rather than one against, I would say, his football on the whole. And I think Bayern are paying the price for those decisions, but also in the transfer market, Bayern, even the signing of Harry Kane, it was a very shiny plaster in the summer for problems that they needed to solve throughout the squad. And usually Bayern's transfer business over the years has been great because they are filling the holes with the players exactly that they need. But right now, the Bayern team reflect a club that doesn't really know what it wants from its team on the pitch. I'd be interested in Ali's opinion in particular, the amount of games that we've watched this season. Can you really recognize an identity in comparison to what we've seen with Bayer Leverkusen, where I think we know the exact game plan that's going to happen now, week for week, and they're so confident in it. Whereas with Bayern, you just never know what to expect.
Hold that thought 1 minute, Ali, because just why I've got you talking about the whole Tuchel situation, Archie, who would fill the hole that he would leave? Who's actually available to come and take over Bayern right now if he goes?
Hansi Flick, but he's not said to be a popular choice with very influential board member Uli Hoeneß. That is for me the most obvious candidate, also because the guy that he chiefly didn't get on with, and a big reason why he left the club, Hasan Salihamidzic, the then sporting director, is no longer at the club. But otherwise, candidates are not jumping out at you for who would come in right now. Surely they're not going to go back in again for Jupp Heynckes, who has said firmly, I have retired. But at this stage, Bayern seemed desperate. And let's not forget, the decision to sack Nagelsmann last time, that is indicative of a club that thinks it needs to make a desperate move that nobody really saw coming. And once you start to make one desperate move, then I think it leads to more. And that's what we've seen over the course of the last year.
Let's finish this conversation by adding to what Archie said there.
Well, first of all, Hansi Flick apparently is the most popular man in the world, because if you ask Barcelona, they're also saying Hansi Flick is the answer to Xavi. I'm just saying, he seems to be a hot commodity right now. In regards to what Archie was mentioning and this team lacking identity, it's one thing if Archie and myself and those of us that cover Bundesliga on a weekly basis can't quite figure out what is it that Bayern Munich are trying to do in the field. What I think is even more concerning is the fact that they don't know what they're trying to do on the field. They don't know. And if you needed evidence as to why I say that they don't know what they're trying to do, well, go back to the game against Bayer Leverkusen, in which the most important game of the season-defining game for Bayern Munich and Bayer Leverkusen, the manager for Bayern Munich, Thomas Tuchel, decides to go with a formation that he had not played yet with that group of players. He was experimenting in the most important game of the season. If you had known who you are and what your identity is coming into that match, you play that team and you play those guys and you put them out there because that's your best against their best. When you're searching, when you're experimenting, that's because you have questions, and they still have questions and zero answers.
It looks like we've got an interesting week ahead.